Welcome to the community segment. I am back here with Eric Johnston. You all might remember the earlier interview we did where he broke the story of, believe it or not, companies, foreign companies, actually abusing American homeowners. Yeah, it was that crazy. So if you missed that, make sure you scroll up and find that interview that we did. But Eric, thanks for coming again on the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, and thanks so much for having me again. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah. I mean, what you guys are dealing with is astounding and bizarre, unjust. I don't know, the terms keep going on, but when we were together last time, you had mentioned that the governor had taken on Disney because Disney was doing bad things, but at least Disney was an American company. Not that justifies anything, but to have a foreign-owned company do that to American homeowners, I just can't even get my head around that. So let's get right into it. Eric, for the folks that didn't watch that broadcast, if you could just very quickly recap what happened at that time, and then you've had some major developments with one of the companies. Bring us up to speed on that and let the people know what's going on. This is crazy stuff. And this is not isolated to Sarasota County. This is happening in other locations. You just haven't heard about it. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so to back up, the special districts in the state of Florida were designed so that people paid for their own growth, right? So the benefit, the residents that benefit from the district pay for those infrastructure through the taxes. So
like roads, clubhouses, water, those kinds of systems.
Exactly.
Okay.
What we've got going on here is you have the people in charge of the district, who is this foreign corporation, have been leveraging that authority to tack on these long-term fees. We're talking about a century again. We're talking about
100-year agreement.
A 100-year agreement, and you got to keep in mind, it will take them maybe 15 years to build the whole project. I mean, there's only so far they can go, and it's going to take them. So they expect us to pay them these fees with nothing in return for the next century.
So for you here in Florida, what happens here a lot of times is a company will come, they'll get a piece of land, and they'll say, hey, we're going to build a bunch of houses here. It's great. We love that. And they build the houses, they handle the roads, the plumbing, sewage, all of that. And we call these companies a developer. And that's the company that Eric's referring to when he says this foreign company. Please keep going.
Yeah. So as I mentioned the last time, one of the turning points, and this is one of the developments that just happened last week. One of the turning points was when they shut off the irrigation water to one of the neighborhoods. This took it to a different level because now we're not just talking about long-term debt. We're literally talking about them using the authority to punish the residents that questioned what they were doing in American courts, right? And everybody has rights. It's the freedom of speech. Everybody
They're going to shut off water, and here in Florida, where this landscaping is expensive stuff. There's grass, there's plants, there's the value of the home. If your lawn is not taken care of, it negatively impacts the value of that home. These houses are expensive. So there's a whole series of cascade series of events, but just the brazenness of we're going to shut the water off. It's weird still for me to understand. Keep going.
Yeah, and you're right. We're talking millions of dollars worth of landscaping. So it is a big deal. So as of last week, though, and I can't thank you enough and your audience enough for chiming in. As of last week, one of the parties that was in that lawsuit came to a meeting of the minds with the neighborhood involved, and they are in a settlement agreement right now.
Good. Thank you guys for making those calls. Eric asked you guys to make calls on some legislation. Thank you guys for taking action. This is what can happen when people get off the couch and take action. All right, back to you.
Absolutely. So it's a huge win, and it's a huge point in the right direction. We are still left with the primary developer of the entire district, the one that's owned by the foreign corporation. We still have to deal with them, but the fact that was just a huge win and I applaud the developer that was in that they wanted to find some common ground and do the right thing. So. Yeah. The second thing is we got up to 3 on the bill that we were discussing, HB4061, which is a bill that will expand the authority of this company. literally diluting the voters' rights and giving them even more power. We were trying to, you and your audience really helped us to move that further too. We got over 3,000 signatures on the petition, which is an enormous number when you're talking about a local bill. We have over 3,000 signatures on it. We were contacted, part of our group was contacted by DeSantis's office. So we know that they know what's going on. You're right, we're on the radar.
That's good.
And it has not been vetoed yet, but it has not passed yet either, and it seems to be sitting there. So just thank you again for all of that. That was a big win. And I must say, if you think about it, if you have 3,000 signatures on a local bill, on a petition to fight a local bill, and they ignore that, we have a much bigger problem in politics and in their relationship to developers in Florida. Because this is Florida develops faster than any other state in the country, and we've just got to get our arms around it and stop it. So I hope that we can keep putting pressure on them for this bill and make sure it's.
Yeah. So what are the actions that you want the audience to take today? Yeah.
So today, the biggest thing you can do for us right now is to please continue to put pressure on them on this bill, this HB4061. Also, if you haven't signed the petition yet, I'll give you the petition. We can put it in the link maybe if you could.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And then I just keep putting pressure on DeSantis's office to veto it. Again, this bill, yes, it's about the community that we're talking about now, but the ramifications of this passing will affect communities throughout the state and possibly throughout the U.S. It's just a template. So I just ask you to please help us with this and make sure it's Bill HB4061.
And if you haven't done any of that before, it's very, very easy. Go to your search engine on your device and just search for Florida HB4061 2025. I'll repeat again. Go to your search thing and then type in Florida HB4061 2025 and hit those links, and then you'll be able to see what that bill is. Now, added bonus tip, if you're like me and you're like, well, I didn't go to school to learn to write bills, and the people who write these bills intentionally write them in a way to hide stuff. These are very smart lawyers. They intentionally write the bill in a way to distract the reader. So as a bonus tip, you take that link and then go to something like ChatGPT or Perplexity.ai or Grok, and you just paste that link and you just say, explain how this bill alters the voter rights, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Just do that. And AI will explain the bill to you. You don't have to call a lawyer, you don't have to spend hours on it. And the AI will explain it to you and it will blow your mind, because AI it's either neutral or it trends woke. So if AI says this bill marginalizes the rights of the individual voter, it's worse than you actually think. But it makes it in a very, very easy way to understand. So we have a few more minutes here. Are you able to explain, just kind of in broad brushstrokes, why people are saying that this bill favors the developers against the homeowners?
Yeah. So the first thing it does is, as a district develops, right now, again, you have a five-member board. 4 of those members are the employees of the developer. So they make all the decisions. They're the ones that can put these fees on, and who's going to argue with them? They're running the ship. So as a district develops, there should be more residents on that board to kind of oversee things to make sure, everything is going correctly and that we have a voice. The first thing it does is dilute that completely. There's no way that realistically we would get anybody else on that board for a long, long time, which just gives them, carte blanche. They can just do whatever they want.
And the important thing, guys, is this is not by accident. This is not some error. This is all intentional. This is all very smart people writing these bills in a very specific way to do what you just heard. So the injustice, the unfairness, the manipulation, these guys know that if they hire really good lawyers, they can write this in a misleading way or sneaky way or whatever term you want to use, intentionally designed so that the regular folk like us don't see what they're trying to do. So they're using the law, they're using the rules, they're manipulating it in their favor. So right there, no matter what the topic, the fact that they do that is just unexcusable. But keep going.
There's one other thing that just, I was in development a long time, and there's one other part of it that really scares me a lot, is that you have one of these bills, it gives them the right of eminent domain, right? So here you have a foreign company that has the right to take land. Now, they would have to pay for it, but without, and it specifies this in the bill, without city or county approval, they can decide that if a property that's owned by a private owner is in the interest of the district to own, they can buy it whether that guy wants to sell it or not.
So this is, I hope you guys are tracking. This is just blowing my mind. As Eric keeps talking, it's getting more and more, it's horrible, right? The more he talks, the worse I feel because of what he's explaining. Land ownership is ground zero for this republic.
Absolutely.
I'll say that again. Land ownership is what I mean by that. This country, this thing called America, is built on private land ownership. When those people came over into this country, and they came and they owned land, that is how this country got to where it is right now. So anything that compromises the integrity of a individual with the land he or she owns, right there, that cannot be allowed to exist. That kind of, it has to be stopped in its tracks, because you lose that, everything else cascades. Your free speech, the way that your votes are counted and managed, your health care. Land ownership is where everything started. You mess that up, it's like the cornerstone that all these other things are built on, right? So you can't let that happen. So that is just incredible that has happening. And I'm going to get off my soapbox here in a second. How does this even happen? What I mean, this company had an idea, okay, they wanted to take advantage of regular folks like they are doing. Then they wrote a document, okay, then they got a legislator that the public voted for, they bought him off, paid him off, and they got that guy or gal to sponsor this into a bill. So that was allowed. Then this bill was allowed to be heard by committees again. And each one of these steps, you and I could have stopped it. We could have prevented it from being written in a bill. We could have prevented it through public pressure from it being heard in a committee. All across, and this bill has been allowed to move forward. And now it's at the stage that we're talking about. Go ahead.
And here's what you were talking about is so perfect, because this is one of the things too. To get this bill passed, okay, they used their authority, again, the 4 voices on the board, to decide to use the money that is being paid for by the residents, not them, being paid for by the residents. They use that bond money to hire the lobbying company. Wow. To create and push the bill.
Wow.
So we're paying for a bill that dilutes our own votes.
This is a perfect example of what's been happening in your health freedom, your election processes, your Second Amendment, you name it, this is what's happening. So my friends, when Eric says go and please put make sure your voice is heard to defeat this, it is hypercritical. You may not live in this community, you may not care about ownership, you may not own a home, maybe that's not important to you, but your health rights, your voice through your vote, who's allowed to come in and out of this country, your First and Second Amendments, all of these things are on the line. So this has got to be stopped. So Eric, thanks for explaining that to the audience and to me as well. Again, before we wrap up here, what is the thing that you want people to do?
The biggest thing you can do is help right now stop that bill. We do also, it would help a lot if people started to try and get the local commissioners and things involved to understand, because that's really what we need, is for somebody to come in and start to investigate it. So if you could help put pressure there, but the bill is probably the most important thing. And I will tell you the ratcheting, when I say that there's an abuse from, or when the use of authority is abusing the residents, in just the last few months with that irrigation, that has ratcheted up in the background. They are using, and when I have more, I'll tell you about that too.
So with what Eric just mentioned, so Eric's giving you a number of different options to take. What he just dropped, pay attention to what he's saying. What he just dropped was really important. So get on your computer, and then if you're in this listening area here, we're in Sarasota County, all you do is just type in Sarasota County Commissioners, because you said commissioners.
Yep.
Sarasota County Commissioners.
I think it's District 3 and District 5.
Okay, even there. Sarasota County District Commissioners, no, Sarasota County Commissioners, District 3, hit that, and in the search results, you'll see who your commissioners are for that district.
Yeah, and Tom Knight has voiced publicly concern on this multiple times, so he's on our side.
So he needs to have you join your voice to what he's saying, because I am telling you that the other side has so much money, they will squash Tom Knight's voice like that, unless you join your voice to them. So please take that action. Again,